As the Chief Commercial, I am leading several revenue streams within the company, including Get's international B2B division. Today, Get is leading innovation in corporate ground travel with its new generation of mobility software. Get's unique SaaS solution organizes all the best mobility providers on one single platform, optimizing the entire travel experience from booking to riding to automatic invoice, and also providing insightful analytics so that businesses can actually focus on what they do best. Get was actually founded in 2010 and quickly became an important player in the consumer on-demand transportation landscape. A year later, Get launched its first B2B version. And today, with a decade of experience, Get enjoys the perfect combination of having advanced consumer technology, but also deep understanding and knowledge of the B2B ground travel industry. At Get, we envision a future where our software helps businesses thrive by empowering their people to be the best on the go. So today, we're going to talk about technology, innovation, evolution, but mostly we're going to talk about B2B products. We all know by now the impact digital transformation can have on a company and the ability to help the company remain operational. Company owners should adopt new technologies and learn how to make their organization more digital and more agile. When it comes to the B2B product makers, well, they have a significant part in this journey. Their ability to develop technologies that will help corporations to become more advanced is critical. And this is why now it's the time for the B2B product makers to change their mindset and adjust themselves to the latest trends. Technology, it's not a secret that we all use technology on our daily lives. Technology will have transformed the way we operate and almost everything we do. In fact, there is no product that is made today or a person that moves today, and nothing is collected, analyzed, or even communicated without some kind of technology being an integral part of it. Technology made our life easier. It made them faster. It made them better. And let's face it, it also made them a bit more fun. So let's look into some of the numbers that we know from using technology. 3.2 billion, that's the number of active web users we have worldwide. That is almost half of the entire population. 65%, that's the share of time that we spend in front of a screen while we are awake. 2 million, that's the number of new smartphones sold every single day. And 2.5 hours, that's the time that we spend on social media every day. Technology has become the cement of our lives. We use it all the time. We don't even need to define ourselves as technologically advanced or even tech savvy just to consume technology at a massive scale. Thanks to technology, we can transfer money with a click of a button. We can order things online. Everything is so simple that it's hard to remember how it was before all of that. What we also see is that technology has transformed some of the industries completely. When we compare ourselves to 10, 15 years ago, we see massive evolutions. The easiest one to refer to is, of course, the ride-hailing space. By now, 40% of all Americans admit to use ride-hailing services. That is compared to just 15% in 2015. So not only industries are being transformed completely, but we also see this transformation happen really quickly. Let's look at the e-commerce space and online shopping. 1.8 billion, that's the number of users that buy their goods online. That is, in fact, 23% of the entire population that by now use technology to buy everything they need and get it directly to their home. So let's dive into some of these industries that have been transformed. Let's look into how we order our food. So in the past, we had to leave our home, go to the supermarket, collect. the different groceries and deliver them ourselves. If we wanted to order a takeout from a restaurant, again, we had to call the restaurant, order something, and pick it up. Today, completely different. We don't even have to leave our home. We just open an app, we order whatever we want, and we get it directly to our home. We pay with a credit card. Everything is so seamless and so simple. Let's look on how we consume banking services. In the past, we had to go physically to the bank and stand in line just to do basic actions like managing our own money, check our balance, or transfer money. Everywhere you go, you used to pay with a cash. Today, completely different. Everything is online. You have the 24/7 banking apps that you can do whatever you want. You don't even have to go to the bank anymore. When it comes to payment types, we see more and more contactless credit card and even payment apps that are being well adopted. The banking industry and the payment industry has been transformed completely over the 10 to 15 years. What about something a bit more fun? The way we book a vacation. In the past, we had limited awareness of location and limited access. If you wanted to book a vacation, you had to call to a specific hotel and reserve your room or vacation. Most people contacted travel agents in order to schedule their vacation. Today, with the launch of the online travel agents, we all became our own travel agents. We don't have to call anyone. It takes seconds to order an hotel or to book a vacation. What we also see is that 76% of people admit to look at the online recommendation when they decide which vacation to book. They also say that they see these online recommendations similar to a personal recommendation by someone they know. The ease of booking of vacation is so massive that people tend to actually order more and more vacations today compared to how it used to be before. With flights, same thing. Everything used to be manual, everything used to be limited. Today, you can order a flight in seconds. In fact, if you type order a flight in Google, you will get 2,300,000,000 results of ordering online flight tickets. And if you've never done it before, simply by clicking how to book a flight online, you will get 30 million different videos showing to you how to book a flight step by step by step. It's not a secret that technology has transformed our private lives completely. But the question is, did we leave something behind? Unlike our private lives, when it comes to the corporate lives, what we see is something completely different. B2B products remain quite old-fashioned, difficult to use, complex, and let's face it, most of them are also quite ugly. The traditional B2B are actually looking at the value or what is perceived to be the value by the decision maker as more important than the user experience itself. This is the way it has been for years. B2B companies are built brick on brick, cell by cell, and that's it. They only focus on pleasing the decision makers. They build and design the product for them. But does it even make sense to neglect completely the ones that are due to use these services eventually, instead of just the decision makers? So I want to walk you through what I call to be the vicious cycle of B2B products today. So as we said, consumers, they increase their expectations, they adopt technologies, and they change the way they behave. They bring those habits to work. The same expectations they have from their private lives, they bring to work. So when their company fails to mirror these expectations and bring a product that they don't want to use, what happens is that they simply do not use it. They simply don't adopt it. What they do is to find other solutions. They can find some freemium solutions online. They can take whatever they use for their private lives and use it for the corporate usage. As a result, what we see on average is that only 40% of the employees adopt the solutions that the corporate introduced, the same solutions that the corporate is paying for. But then, when employees manage their own corporate solutions, what happens is that the company itself loses a massive opportunity of saving. But more importantly, companies find themselves having multiple products just for the same goal. All of these products are untracked, they are not secured, they are not connected to the internal systems. They are not connected to the internal data systems and are not managed by the internal IT system. Most importantly, if and when an employee leaves the company, all the data and the activity goes together with him. So, we all understand that we have a massive issue with B2B solutions. Question is, what should B2B companies do to keep up with the pace? Well, they say that in order to get people to change, you really have to make the change easy. It's the B2B company's role to make the change easy in order for the technology to be adopted by the end user, in our case, the employees. A century ago, a famous philosopher introduced a method that says that we as human beings always follow the principle of the least effort. Recently, Harvard psychologists added that eventually the behavior that we choose is just 20 seconds shorter in order to start. It means that as consumers, we are so sensitive to our time. We look for the most simple, the easiest, the frictionless solution in order to adopt new technology. B2B companies have to remember that when they design their own products. Let's look into some of the consumers' products and why they are so successful. When we think about TikTok, Amazon, or Netflix, what they do is to ask themselves, what do our users want? And then they invest all of their effort in order to find solutions to what their users want. They behave like a successful consumer company. They put the experience first. So what I suggest is that instead of just designing a product, companies should be more focused on designing the experience itself. And by experience, we have to look on everyone that has to do with your product. Yes, it starts with the decision makers. It also has to do with the finance people that will pay for your product. But most critically, you have to focus on those who are going to use it the most. To summarize, we can say that today, the user-focused B2B solutions, what matters. This is the future, and this is where you need to focus. You cannot continue just to look at the decision makers. It will not be enough. Today has to change the entire focus of the company. When we look on some of the successful B2B companies, think about Zoom, Slack, Dropbox, think about SurveyMonkey or GitHub. What we see is enterprise companies that are starting to look more and more like the consumer counterparts. They adopt the same method of focusing on the end user. They have built their growth from the bottom up and not just counting on the decision makers to drive the adoption within the organization. So over the past 5 years, I have been a part of the team at Get. Get has an interesting story of a company that started as a B2C firm in the ride-hailing space and evolved to become a B2B leader. At Get, for years, we as well focused our sales team purely on selling to the decision makers. But what we've learned is that what made our product so successful is actually the fact that it was well adopted by the end users. So we've learned that the fact that we had the B2C business, that helped our B2B business because we knew how to win the employees, which are the end users. The very unique combination of Get being a B2B and a B2C company draw our attention to some core principles that I would like to share with you today and which I believe every B2B company needs to adopt. So, principle number 1, always exceed customers' expectations. Simply delivering on what you promise to your customers is not enough. They always expect more. Let me tell you something about Get. What we do is that we connect riders and drivers in real time in order for them to get from point A to point B. Every time that you open the app, you order a driver, you don't even have to tell us your location because we will use a GPS location. Every time that that happens successfully, we believe that that's a major win. Do you think anyone tells us, wow, the driver got to the right place in the right time? No, not at all. Because people expect that. That's the basic. Same thing when you buy things from Amazon. Every time that you buy something and get your package, you're not excited. You expect for that to happen. Simply delivering on what customers expect is just not enough. You have to exceed. A great example of a company that exceed our expectations is Netflix. Think about it, Netflix, they don't just give you media or entertainment. They tell you what they think you would like. It's like they're one step ahead of you. It's like they get into your mind. This is the type of expectations level we need to exceed as consumer products. This is what B2B companies should adopt as well. What is the best way to do that? Well, you should always do experiments and you should always learn. That's the core of always innovating. So you release something, you test it, you collect the feedback, you fix it, and then you release it again. It's a never-ending story. Let's look about the next one. Keep it simple. You know, we as consumers have this tendency to remember the beginning and the end of every experience. Sometimes that alone will define the entire experience for us. A good example would be from the automotive space. Recently, we see new vehicles that you don't even need to use your keys in order to open, to lock, or to even start your vehicle. When you want to get out of the vehicle and lock your car, all you have to do is hover your hand near the handle and suddenly, windows will go up, mirror will collapse. It's that simple. That simple action alone will define your entire experience from the vehicle. And remember, it's really often that the small things makes a significant difference. The third one would be about data. Well, it's no secret that data is in everything we do today. The only way that we can manage something is that if we can measure it. When it comes to B2B products, the most important thing is the ability to measure internal adoption. As buyers, the one thing you should care about the most is the ability to track and monitor the adoption of the products in your firm. As B2B product creators, the number one target for your sales team, besides just signing the deal, of course, would be to measure the adoption within the organization. If eventually employees decide to use some other solution, well, you're probably doing something wrong. Lastly, you have to start thinking about consumer products. Remember the successful B2B companies. What they all have in common is that they think more like their B2C counterparts. They don't just focus on the decision makers and pleasing them. That's important, but it's not enough. They think about those who use the service. You should not underestimate the importance of having the employees advocating for your solution. Let me give you this scenario. You build a B2B product that is so successful, that is so loved by the employees, that they themselves go to the employer and ask them, convince them to buy your product into the company. That's the type of products that you want to build. Those that use the employees as your greatest ambassadors. A great example will be a company called DocuSign. They recently shared that 43% of the entire new sales is coming from word of mouth and from employees using their freemium service and then engaging with the firm to adopt it internally. That is a great figure for a B2B company that's focused when it should have. It was Albert Einstein that once said that if we keep on doing what we are always doing, we will keep on getting the same results we've always got. We spend so much time at work. In fact, as an average worker, you will spend third of your time at work. That is overall more than 90,000 hours. It only makes sense that at the same level of innovation and technology, that we use in 1/3 of our lives, we will expect to use in the other 2/3 of our lives. And this is why I'm calling again for the B2B product makers and saying that the future of B2B lies in the ability to take the same technologies and trends and expectations that we have in our private lives and implement them into our corporate solutions. If we do that, we will make the change for all of the organizations much easier. As a result, they will adopt new technology. That will help them in the digital transformation that is so critical for corporates around the world today.